What is up, y'all? Philly Fly Show checking in here, kicking in at Right Way Production Studios, and we are back for another fight week. UFC White House was absolutely one of the best cards I have ever seen. Do not care what anyone says. Knockout after knockout after knockout. We only had 7 fights, all finishes, epic. Yes, I picked Ilia Topuria to win, and that failed epically. And I also picked Alex Pereira on big wins, and he failed epically. My thoughts here, I'm just going to kind of run through it. Diego Lopez, once he decided to walk forward, he has got the power, he's got the striking to knock any featherweight out. I can see him fighting in both weight classes now. I honestly really like it. Stevie was just walking forward and just landing on Diego, and Diego has this thing where he wants to counter, and it just didn't work out for him. Bo Nickel looked good against Kyle Dawkins, but Kyle Dawkins just took too much step in competition. He is a good prospect, and he's got the skill to become a top 5 fighter, but he's got to work his way back up. Mauricio Hufi is just a beast. Michael Chandler out of the lightweight rankings. Josh Hokett was awesome. Derek Lewis needs to retire. I do not want to see that mother trucker ever fight again. I'm done with him. He is not as good as what people like. Cool, you might like the Black Beast, but he was not a top competitor in the UFC, actually. Just because he's got a freaking rocket on his right hand does not mean he is a great fighter. And then Sean O'Malley with the salute was kind of cool, but Pereira, this is what I wanted to get to. How do you get knocked out by a jab? How do you get hurt by a jab? Like, I've watched so many Surreal Gone fights. He's fought for title fights. He's epic. He's really good. I've never seen him hurt anybody with a jab. Ever. In all his fights, I've never seen that. So, my issue with Pereira is that the rumor is he didn't even cut weight. He just walked around at that weight. Brother, if you're going to fight at heavyweight, you gotta be as big as heavyweights, and I just don't think he should fight at heavyweight. I think he should go back to light heavyweight. I don't even like him actually at light heavyweight. Middleweight is where he should have stayed at. Yeah, he's really big for it, but he's lost his speed. He's lost his head movement. He has not been the same fighter since going to light heavyweight. And that's it. That's literally it. And then Ilia Topuria, Justin Gaethje. All you can say about Justin Gaethje is that Justin Gaethje is a killer. Absolute killer. I do not want him to retire. I want to see Justin keep fighting, but I don't see Justin fighting ever again. He's going to probably walk off into the sunset, and it's very unfortunate. He's already said if he decides to defend the title, he's not fighting this year, and that pissed me off because as a title competitor, yeah, you've already fought twice this year, and you never fight twice a year. Stop all that, man. Justin, get in there. I want to see you defend that title, or I want to just hear you walk off into the sunset, because that's what needs to happen. But we're here for UFC Fight Night. Manel Kape versus Kyoji Horiguchi. Now, Horiguchi he's kind of on a small little tear and coming back into the UFC. He's got 2 great wins behind his belt that I really like. And then Manel Kape. Manel Kape is either he's going to show up and noodle you, or he's going to act like he can fight, and he's not even going to fight you, because that's how he is. Oh, and he also backs out of a lot of fights. He has literally canceled 6 or 7 fights in a year and a half span, maybe 2-year span. So, not a big fan of Manel Kape. I like his skill set, but when you're going to go in there and have a fight against Makayev like you did and talk all that shit and act like a brawler and then not even brawl in there, there's something wrong with you. Very something wrong with you. But like I said, it's UFC Fight Night. We're going to jump into it. Match like number 12 here is a featherweight bout in the male division between Shane Collins and Tori Zelovi. Now, Zelovi is a plus 168 underdog, where Shane Collins is a negative 210 favorite. Shane is 5-0 in his last 5, making his UFC debut, and a 7-0 fighter. Very good record behind him. His counterpart is making his UFC debut too. He's 4-1 in his last 5, and he's 10-1 with his pro MMA record. Look, it was really hard to even get a lot on these guys. I went with the undefeated fighter here. I'm not going to go out and say that he's automatically going to win or anything, but I just think his skill set was above Tori. Shane Collins going to get the win there. 3 out of 5 on the confidence level that he can get his hand raised. Jump to match leg number 11. It is a female bout. Bantamweight female bout between Carol Rosa, number 8th ranked, and number 11th ranked Luna Santos. Now, Luna is a plus 100 underdog, whereas Carol's a negative 122 favorite. Carol is 3-2 in her last 5, 8-4 in the UFC, and coming off a decision win against Cornell. That win is a big win for her. That girl is a good prospect and gonna be a top 5 competitor, just like Carol Rosa could be a top 5 competitor. Her counterpart in Luana is 4-1 in her last 5, 5-1 in the UFC on a 2-fight win streak. She keeps getting put up against people that she is not supposed to beat and just running through them. So I'm picking Luana here. I just think Carol Rosa walks with her chin down a little too much, and Luana's going to land on that chin, and it's going to be a bad night for her. And I like that plus 100. I take that to the bank, but I'm only 1 out of 5 on the confidence level that she can get her hand raised. Match like number 10 here is a welterweight bout between two dudes. Both of them are making their UFC debut. We get Leon Shabazian versus Levan Chokeli. Now, Chokeli is a negative 400 favorite, whereas Leon's a plus 300 underdog. Leon is 4-1 in his last 5, making his UFC debut, coming in with a 12-4 MMA record and on a 4-fight win streak. His counterpart, making his UFC debut too, 4-1 in his last 5, 14-3 with a pro MMA record. He's coming off a KO win. He's fought in Bellator. He's got a name behind him. I really liked his skill set. But when I was looking at Leon, great grappler, could be related to Edmund Shabazian. I don't know that off the top of my head. I didn't get to research that one. But I think his grappling is going to be too much. Whereas Chokeli, he's more well-rounded and likes striking better. So I'm thinking the grappler is going to get in here and put on a show. Especially both guys making their UFC debut. I'm going to lean on the grappler side, not the striker side. 1 out of 5 that Leon can get his hand raised after the fight. Match like number 9 is a featherweight bout between Gaston Bolaños and Michael Aswell. Michael's a negative 430 favorite, whereas Gaston Bolaños is a plus 320 underdog. I do not like Michael Aswell's skill set whatsoever in MMA. The only thing he's got going for him is he's a counter striker with power, and that's all Bolaños has pretty much got to worry about. Bolaños is 3-2 in his last 5, 2-2 in the UFC, coming off a submission loss. His counterpart in Michael is 2-3 in his last 5, 1-2 in the UFC, and got a decision loss against Luke Riley, who I thought he should have beat. I'm pretty sure that was Riley's UFC debut, and he looked really good. So fun there. I am leaning and going to pick Gaston Bolaños. I just think his well-roundedness is going to be too much for Aswell. Like I said, Aswell's only got a power and a counter strike, and that's not going to work against Gaston Bolaños. He's got the skill set to beat him, and I think he's going to win. 1 out of 5 on the confidence level that he gets his hand raised. Matchup number 8 is a flyweight bout between Alan Nascimento and Mitch Raposo. Raposo's a plus 160 underdog. Alan, negative 200 favorite. Allen is 4-1 in his last 5 and 4-1 in the UFC on a 4-fight win streak, which is badass. His counterpart got his first win in the UFC in October. He's 3-2 in his last 5, 1-2 in the UFC, and like I said, in October got his first win. He is very well-rounded and a good guy. He just got put up against wrong prospects. I really like Mitch Raposo's game, but here's the thing. Allen is so good on the ground. His striking needs to improve a little bit, but that grappling is going to be too much for Mitch. And Mitch can defend against grappling, but he's not elite at it. So it's going to be a long night for him. I'm picking Alan Nascimento to beat Mitch Raposo. 3 out of 5 on the confidence level that he can get his hand raised. Match leg number 7. Usually this is the featured prelim of the bout. From what I am seeing, they're going back to the 5 fights for the main card for even fight nights, and I just think that's wrong. Make it 6. So we're going to say this here. We're not going to say which one's the featured prelim, and we're going to just say the main card starts on 5. If it starts on 6, like it used to, good for them. I'll go back to that, but it looks like that's not what it's going. So match like number 7 is a female bantamweight fight between Bia Mesquita, number 13th ranked, versus Melissa Mullins, who is not ranked here, but Melissa is a plus 390 underdog, whereas her counterpart Bia is a negative 550 favorite. She is going to show why she is a 13th ranked girl. Now, Melissa earned a ranked fight, but this is not a good matchup for her. Bia is going to be way too much. Bia is 5-0 in her last 5, 2-0 in the UFC, and a 7-0 undefeated fighter. Has not tasted defeat yet. Her counterpart's 3-2 in her last 5, 2-2 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss. Look, Melissa's really, really good, but she is not good enough to take on the ranked fighters yet. She's got to get some more prospect wins under her belt. Bia's going to win this fight 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. She gets her hand raised. Match like number 6 is a flyweight male division fight between Andre Lima and Kevin Crazy Eyes Borjas. Borjas is a plus 420 underdog, whereas Lima's a negative 600 favorite. You can see why Lima is crazy, crazy good. One of these top elite flyweight prospects that needs to get a ranked fight next to him after he beats up Kevin Borjas. Andre Lima's 5-0 in his last 5, 4-0 in the UFC, and an 11-0 fighter. I'm also positive he's the guy who got bit that time, so he'll show his muscle and he'll show exactly where he got bit because he got it tattooed. And then his counterpart Borjas has not had a good UFC stint. He's 1-4 in his last 5, 1-4 in the UFC on a 2-fight lose streak. Look, man, I thought Crazy Eyes was going to be able to pull it off and be a good fighter in the flyweight division, but he is not who I thought he is. Andre Lima pieces him up, beats him down, doesn't matter if it's on the feet, on the ground, doesn't matter, he's going to get his ass whooped. Andre Lima wins that fight, 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. He gets his hand raised. Match like number 5, featherweight bout. Vinicius Oliveira is back and fighting a guy named Andre Touchy-Feely. If you don't know who Andre Touchy-Feely is, he's been in the game a long, long time. I love the way he fights. He doesn't care if he gets knocked out. He's going to go in there and just brawl you. That could be really bad for him because Vinicius has got some crazy power. The other thing, I'm pretty sure Oliveira was a bantamweight fighter moving to featherweight. If I'm wrong, I might be. I watch a lot of fights and get a lot of names mixed up, but I'm like 1,000% sure Oliveira was a bantamweight because his last loss was to Bautista. Bautista's a bantamweight and submitted him. So I think him moving up to featherweight is him saying he can't cut that weight to bantamweight anymore. He was really big for a bantamweight fighter. Vinicius Oliveira is a negative 290 favorite. Andre Touchy-Feely plus 220 underdog. Vinicius 4-1 in his last 5, 4-1 in the UFC, coming off his first loss and a submission to Bautista. His counterpart in Touchy-Feely is 2-3 in his last 5, 13-12 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss to Delgado, who is not a slouch to lose to, not a bad loss. Look, I think Vinicius is going to be able to land on Touchy. Touchy's a guy who will take a shot to give a shot, but he doesn't. If Feely had a better game plan, he would take the shot to give you 3 or 4 because of how fast he is. But he's kind of a one-shot fighter, and I don't like that. Vinicius is the same way, but he's got crazy power behind his hands, and he can grapple. So if it gets to the ground, bad night for Touchy-Feely. But if it stays on the feet, these guys will be a little closer. But Vinicius is going to have... Vinicius is the favorite for a reason because of his power behind his hands. I'm picking him to win 1 out of 5 on the comp, so he gets his hand raised. Featherweight bout here. I'm excited to see this guy back in here because he was highly touted coming into UFC and he's not showed it yet. Malisik Bahasarkian versus Murtazi Magomedov. Magomedov's a negative 320 favorite. Melsik is a plus 245 underdog. Look, Melsik's 3-2 in his last 5, 3-2 in the UFC, coming off a KO loss to Gene Silva, which I don't think that's a bad loss, but coming into that fight, everyone thought he was going to win that fight. So, don't like that. Don't think it's a bad loss, but don't like how highly touted he was. He's fighting a guy who's making his UFC debut, who's a 5-0 in his last 5 and a 10-0 MMA record. The odds makers got him as a negative 320. I just think Melsik is not as good as everyone thinks, but this is the fight for him to prove me wrong. So that'll be kind of fun to see. I'm picking Magomedov to win. 1 out of 5, though, on the confidence level. He gets his hand raised. Third match leg of the evening is a banger. Featherweight bout. Hyder Emil versus Christian Rodriguez. Christian Rodriguez, negative 188 favorite. Hyder Emil plus 152 underdog. Hyder is 3-2 in his last 5, and he's 3-2 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight lose streak, which kind of sucks for him because he was highly touted coming into the UFC. Christian Rodriguez likes to take O's from people that I don't think he should have beat. And he's really, really, really well-rounded, but he just doesn't put it all together in every fight. He is he's not 5-0 in his last. He's 2-3 in his last 5, 5-4 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight lose streak, but he lost to Melissa Costa and Andre Touchy-Feely, which are not bad losses. And he's beat Cameron Simon and cannot think of the other guy that he beat. Might have been Smotherman, but there's another guy he beat that was undefeated. Didn't think he was going to win that fight, and he did. Christian Rodriguez is a beast, and I think Christian's going to beat the snot out of Hyder. I do not think Hyder can compete with the UFC vets or good prospects like Rodriguez. Rodriguez is going to be too well-rounded, and his hands are going to be too much for him. Rodriguez wins that fight 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. He gets his hand raised. Co-main event of the evening is a light heavyweight banger. Ian Cutelaba versus Navarro Sterling. Navarro is very, very, very good. Super well-rounded. The only downfall in his game, or in his skill set, is gas tank. Just got to work on that gas tank and get better at it. He's got a lot of muscle, so that lactic acid can build up in there, and he can lose his stamina there. Ian Cutelaba is the same way, essentially, because Ian used to come into every fight and just go at you and try to kill you. Just freaking try to kill you. So after the first round, anybody could beat him. They just start grappling, and he's just gassed out. He's become in his last 2 fights, he's become a really calculated fighter, changed his fight camp, and become a real, almost a point fighter. But in the point fighting, he's also searching for the kill. So in that first round, you're going to see him search for the kill, and even a bit into the second round. It's the third round where he gets really, really gassed out. Now, he's fighting a guy in Navarro, like I said, who's got a gas tank issue himself. So if it gets to the third round, I don't know what's going to happen. But I think when Navarro finishes him in the first round, because Ian tends to not move his head. He's not got the greatest head movement, and that's just how I feel. Sterling, -350 favorite. Ian Cutelaba, +255. Ian, 3-2 in his last 5. 9-10-1 in the UFC, coming off a submission win against Omar Sy, which I did not think he was going to win, and that was his first submission of his career. So that was flippin' sweet to see. His counterpart, 5-0 in his last 5, 4-0 in the UFC, and a 9-0 undefeated fighter. Has not tasted defeat. A guy like Ian can beat him, but it's not going to happen. Navarro's going to put him out in the first or second round, 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. He gets his hand raised. We get to the main event of the evening, boys and girls. Checking the time here because I did not want this to go long. We get the number 2 ranked flyweight in the world, Manel Kape, versus the number 5 ranked Kyoji Horiguchi. Horiguchi is a +134 underdog. Manel Kape, -172. If you already watched the Joe Money Show, you already know where I'm leaning on this. Manel Kape's got a lot of power and a great striking behind him, but he never puts it together when he's supposed to. His counterpart, Kyoji Horiguchi, went over to Ryzen and dominated. Didn't have a great UFC run in his first one, and now has 2 awesome fights behind him. Manel Kape, 4-1 in his last 5, 7-3 in the UFC, and on a 3-fight win streak, and all 3 of his wins are great wins against great ranked fighters. His counterpart is 5-0 in his last 5, 9-1 in the UFC, and coming off he's on a 5-fight win streak, but realistically, he came back to the UFC and has 2 awesome wins behind him. Kyoji Horiguchi is getting that win and just going to dominate Manel Kape, and yes, I'm going to ride on that. Yeah, I'm only 1 out of 5 on the confidence level just because Manel Kape can land and put him out. Look, man, Horiguchi is so well-rounded, power behind the strikes, good striking, great he's got everything. He's got everything to become the flyweight champion, and I think he can actually do it. And you would have asked me months ago about Kyoji, I would have told you some way different stuff, but he has proved me wrong on 2 occasions. Went back and watched those fights to make sure I have this right, and I'm on the bandwagon now. So sign me up. Let's go. See y'all next week for the great fight. These are 2 great fight nights. Prospects fighting and some very good ranked fighters. So see y'all next week. Shout out to the Right Way Production Studios for always making this happen, and the Philly Fly Show is checking out for the week. Peace.